Hello and welcome. The purpose of this video is to showcase how practical is JSS Junior Cybersecurity Analyst Roadmap. And if you finish this video, you're going to learn two things: vulnerable applications and identifying DNS transfer vulnerabilities. So yes, you're going to get something out of this video from learning point of view. And also we get a lot of people that are new to our platform and they usually want to know before they become our member how practical is cybersecurity. Now, assuming you have went to our cybersecurity course and you have finished the fundamental of cybersecurity, Linux with practical labs, and then also you have finished the theoretical side of Security 701 Part 1, which is all about videos, understanding. So you know most of the basics from the theoretical approach. Now you are considering the practical approach in cybersecurity 701, and basically we are creating that hands-on. So we are going to now demonstrate two exercises from our part 2 course that you can look and watch it, learn from it. And also, if your question is that how practical is JSS, then this should really give you that answer. So now instructor will take over and cover the two topics that I am sharing right here.
Exercise 2: Identify DNS transfer vulnerabilities. Introduction. DNS zone transfers are used to replicate all DNS resources records from one DNS server to another. They are the fundamental process used to keep multiple DNS servers synchronized with the same resource records. Zone transfers themselves are not inherently bad. However, allowing zone transfers to unauthorized parties can result in security vulnerabilities such as unauthorized access to DNS data, exposing network details, domain enumerations, and an increased attack surface that enables brute force and dictionaries attack. In this exercise, we will create DNS resource record and then confirm DNS zone transfers are not allowed. You will then intentionally misconfigure SSC01 to allow DNS zone transfers and conduct one to observe the resource record output. Learning outcomes. After completing this exercise, you should be able to add a record to the DNS transfer and configuration of DNS server to allow zone transfers. Task 1: Add records to the DNS server. DNS records provide information about domain names and their associated resources. Common DNS resources records include: A record maps the domain name to an IPv4 address. AA record maps the domain name to an IPv6 address. Then CNAME records create and analyze for a domain name. MX record identifies mail servers for the domain. SOA record contains administrative information about the DNS zone. In this task, you will add a CNAME record to the DNS server. Let's start the lab. So now make sure you are connected with the ASIC01 machine. Now in the server manager, go to tools and from here go to DNS. In the DNS manager, expand the DNS ASIC01 machine and then expand the forward lookup zones folder. Expand this window as well. And now in the DNS manager, select and right click on the aciplab.com. Right click and from here select new alias CNAME, new alias CNAME. So in the new resource record window, type the following in the alias name field. So you have to type testing.aciplab.com. So in the new resource record window, type the following in the fully qualified domain name FQDN for the target host field. So you have to type aciplab testingserver.com and then left it as default and click on OK. So here as you can notice that the testing.aciplab.com is being configured to point of aciplab testingserver.com. So you can also observe the new CNAME record that has been created. And now we have to connect with the ACI Kali machine. And from here open the terminal window in the Kali Linux. So now in the terminal window just type the following command. So type sudo dig axfr space @ IP address 192.168.01 and aciplab.com. And now just hit enter. So basically the domain information grabber dig is a Linux utility that is used to query DNS, and the dig axfr command is used to perform a DNS zone transfer. And here we can also observe that the DNS zone transfer is failed. So here till we are done with our task 1. So let's see the task 2. Task 2, configure the DNS server to allow zone transfers. A DNS server is configured for zone transfers to allow authorized secondary DNS servers to request and receive a copy of the zone DNS records from the primary DNS server. The configuration should only allow designated secondary DNS server to conduct the zone transfers. This task we will unintentionally misconfigure the SHC01 DNS server to allow zone transfers to any server. Let's start the lab. So now for task 2, again make sure you are connected with the ACID C01 machine. And now here in the DNS manager, expand the ACI lab. So now right click on the aciplab.com and from here go to properties. And now in the property window, select the zone transfers tab. So now under the zone transfers tab, tick the allow zone transfers checkbox and click on OK. Close the DNS menu. So now the DNS server is unintentionally misconfigured to allow the DNS zone transfers to any server. So now just get back to the ACI Kali machine. Type the password if required. So in the terminal window, just type the following command and hit enter here. Enter the password. So here you can now observe the zone transfer works and all the DNS resources records are returned here. So here you can see the aciplab.com SOA record, and the start of authority SOA record contains the administrative information about the zone. So in the terminal window, now see the CNAME record. So here you can see the CNAME record for testing.aciplab.com. So basically CNAME records point to the domain that are not intended for public consumption, may have fewer security measures in place. This is valuable information for an attacker. So we are done with our task 2 as well. Exercise 3, vulnerable applications. Introduction. Vulnerable applications pose a network risk because they can be exploited by the threat actors. Exploitation can lead to security breaches, data loss, malware installation, and unauthorized access. So in this exercise, we will recognize a newly installed application and identify the indicators of attempted exploitations. Learning outcomes. After completing this exercise, you should be able to discover recently installed applications, simulation of attack on the vulnerable application, and observe the indicators of attack as well. Task 1, discover a recently installed application. So controlling application installation is a fundamental security practice that can minimize the network attack surface. In our fictional organization by police, users are not permitted to install applications. In this task as a network administrator, we will discover an unapproved recently installed application on ACI Windows 11 virtual machine, and you will then conduct a research to determine that this application has a significant non-vulnerability. So make sure you are connected with ACI Windows 11 machine. Now scroll down here, go to Windows, and here in the search tab, search for the Adobe Reader. Open the Adobe Reader 8. So now in the Adobe Reader 8 license agreement pop-up window, click accept, and now just close this. So in the Adobe Reader, select help, then select about. You can notice that the version of Adobe installed from here. Click this and you can see the version is 1.0. So just click on OK. Close this window. Close the Adobe Reader as well. And now in the taskbar, select Microsoft Edge. Open the new tab. And in the search bar, just type the following URL. So the process of determining whether our software version is vulnerable is being shortened in this step for simplicity. So from here you can see, here we have platform national vulnerability database. So in the Microsoft Edge, scroll down. Here is the detail of the CV 2007-5659 detail, and here is the description provided for the CV. Multiple buffer overflows in the Adobe Reader and Acrobat 8.1.1, and earlier allow remote attackers to execute arbitrary code via PDF file with the long arguments to unspecified JavaScript methods. So here in the CVSS 3.6 severity and metrics. So basically the vulnerability is old. A CVSS version 3.x score has not been calculated. Observe the CVSS version 2.0 score is 9.3 on a scale of 0 to 10. And here the references to the advisory solutions and tools are provided. And here you can see the known affected software configurations of the vulnerabilities. And here you can notice that the Adobe Reader version 8.1.1 is vulnerable. From the network defender's perspective, it would be appropriate at this time to uninstall Adobe Reader 8.1.1 and investigate how the installation occurred and by whom. So close the Microsoft Edge and our first task is just done. Task 2: simulate an attack on the vulnerable application. Once a vulnerable application is placed on a network or a user installs one, an attacker can craft an exploit. In this task, simulating an attacker, we will use the Metasploit framework to craft a malicious PDF and deliver it to ACI Windows 11 virtual machine to attempt an exploit. Let's start the lab. So now for the second task, make sure you are connected with the ACI Kali machine. So in task 2, we have to simulate an attack on the vulnerable application. So once a vulnerable application is placed on a network or a user installs one, an attacker can craft an exploit. So in this task, simulating an attacker, you will use the Metasploit framework to craft a malicious PDF and deliver to ACI Windows 11 to attempt an exploit. So in the toolbar, select terminal window. So we have to first launch the Metasploit framework. For this, type MSF console. Just leave it default. Or you can type no. So the Metasploit framework is an open source penetration testing framework used to exploit vulnerabilities. So we have to wait for a while to start the MSF console. So our Metasploit framework is ready. So we have to search for the exploit regarding Adobe 8.1.1. Just type search 8.1.1 and hit enter. And as you can see, there is one exploit available, which is regarding Adobe Collection email info buffer overflow. So to use this exploit, type use 0, hit enter. So the command use exploits Windows file format Adobe Collection email buffer overflow. So it could also have been used, but since the #0 was also given to the option, it's simpler to just use the command use 0. So let's see the options. Type show options. And we have options L host, which is our local host. Then we have to set L port and the exit function. So the options are used to customize the exploit for the attack machine being used. This exploit will be used to enable the observation of indicators of attack. For this reason, the full exploit process will not be demonstrated. So default options are accepted and just type exploit and hit enter. It said creating msf.pdf file, and msf.pdf file is stored at this location. So this exploit creates a malicious PDF and place it in the local folder. And just type here exit. And we are get back to the Kali terminal. Clear the terminal window. Now just type the following command. So here the cp command copies the malicious PDF from the folder it was created into the user's current folder. So here the dot represents the current folder. Now just hit enter here, minimize this, and from here select Firefox. So now here we have option of intranet. From here go to my files. So in the Firefox, in the upload file section, select browse. So in the file upload window, select the home folder. And in the file upload window, select the msf.pdf file and click open. And you can here notice that the msf.pdf file is uploaded. So the my files folder is accessible from any machine in the lab. So you can observe here also the msf.pdf file has been uploaded to my files. This simulates the delivery mechanism of the exploit to the victim. So close this window and just connect back to the ACI Windows 11 machine. Scroll down here get back to the Microsoft Edge, and from here also we have option of intranet. Get back to my files, and here you can also notice that the uploaded msf.pdf file. So in the Microsoft Edge, select msf.pdf file to download, and the msf.pdf file is downloaded successfully. Go to the folder, and this action simulates the successful delivery of the malicious PDF file to the victim. So in the downloads windows, right click on the msf.pdf file and then select open. Here select open with and select Adobe Reader 8.1. You can observe the Adobe Reader attempt to open the file but then close. So this vulnerability requires the installation of vulnerable software on a Windows XP operating system, because this operating system is Windows 11. So the exploit will fail. However, the indicators of the attack can still be observed. So we are done with our task 2. Task 3, observe indicators of attack. In this task, you will use the Microsoft Event Viewer to discover indicators of attack on Adobe Reader 8.1.1 from a malicious PDF. However, the attack was unsuccessful. The process of an attacker being able to install a vulnerable application and deliver a malicious PDF that was open indicates there are significant security vulnerabilities that must be addressed. Let's start the lab. So now we have third task, observe the indicators of attack. For this task, again get back to the ACI Windows 11 machine. Go to search bar from Windows and here search for Event Viewer. Maximize this window. So in the Event Viewer window, expand the Windows logs. And under the Windows logs, we have application security, setup, system and forwarded events. So now in the Windows logs, select applications. So you can observe here the recent errors in the application logs that discovers the general descriptions of the log that you can observe the recent error in the application logs. And here in the general description, you can see it says faulting application name acrord32.exe version 8.1.0. Source is application error. Go to details. In the details, it says acrord32.exe. So that discovers in the general description of the log that the application that caused the error was Adobe rd32.exe. So this is Adobe Reader 8.1.1, and these errors were caused when the applications are malicious, as in such our case was PDF. So although this exploit was not successful, the logs provide an indicator of attack. Additionally, even without being able to execute the malicious PDF, an attacker was able to deliver a weaponized PDF potentially through the phishing or social engineering, and a victim user downloaded the file and attempted to open it. So these are the significant security issues that must be addressed through a cyber incident response process. So just close this window and we are done with our task 3 as well.